Hi, this is Destiny from Desphixs and welcome back to another video in the hotel management system using Django. In this one, we're going to go ahead and start working with the check-in room availability feature. So users are going to be able to select their checkout date, check-in date, how many adults, how many children, and how many days that they want to stay, and the type of room that they are interested in. Then click on the check availability button. Then we'll perform some operation and actually show the available rooms based on their selections. That is what we'll be doing. Hopefully you will enjoy the video and learn something new. And if you do not forget to drop a like, consider subscribing, as it really means the world to me. Check out some of the links in the description below. I've got a couple of courses that will help you become even a better Python Django developer. So let's go ahead and get started. I will open up my code editor, and now I can close up all those tabs that we have over here. And remember that we have the booking app. Okay, we don't have that yet, but I can open up the hotel over here, and in the views, we can still do all this down here in this one application. Or you know what, let's create a new app and do it in another app. So I will say pi manage py start app, and I will call this one booking. Now we have a new booking app. Let's go ahead and install this app in settings.py first and foremost. So over here, I will install a new app called Booking. And in the Booking app, we can now go ahead and open up the views py. And I want to write my very first function over here. But before I do that, let's make sure that we import a couple of things that we need from the hotel models. A couple of things that we need are already in the hotel admin. So I will just open up the admin py and copy this line here. And in the bookings views py, I can just put it over here. And now I have everything that I will be needing. Alongside the render, let's import redirects. And after this, that's pretty much everything that we want. Let's now go ahead and write a new function called check underscore room underscore availability. Okay, and after we've done that, I will pass in requests parameter in there, and that's pretty much all the requests I need to pass. Now I firstly need to say if request.method is equal to posts. I'm sure I've explained this when we were working with the register and login system. So if the method that will be added to the form is a post method, then we want to go ahead and grab a couple of informations. Firstly, it's going to be the hotel ID. So I will define a variable called ID, and I will say request.post.get. This is a way to actually get data from a post form. Now, whatever the name attribute was, is what you should pretty much pass in here. Now, my hotel ID will be named hotel ID, just like this. Name should be equal to hotel ID. So whatever is passed in the name in HTML is what you should grab over here. Now that we've done this, we need a couple of things. We need check-in. That should be request.post.get, and it's going to be called check-in. I also need another one that will be called check-out, which is when the user will be checking out. Now check-in and check-out will be pretty much some dates, okay? And also, I need another one that will be called adults. So adults, just like this. I also need another one, you guessed it right, children. Okay? And I need the final one, which will be room type. Room underscore type. And that should be the same thing that we have over here. So now, whenever we submit this form here, so a user is going to choose the date that they want to check in and the date that they want to check out, how many adults that will be coming in, how many children. Don't worry, we'll fix this up. Then they can now choose the type of room that they are interested in checking its availability. And as soon as they click this button, we will now make a call to this function. Firstly, what will happen is it will check if the method that was passed in the form here is a post. If it is, then it will grab all this information that we have put in here. And after it has grabbed all that information, let's firstly get the hotel based on the ID that we grabbed. I'll say hotel, the objects, the get where ID is equals ID. I also want to get the room underscore type. That should be room type dot objects dot get where hotel is equal to hotel, and also slug is equal to room type. And after you've done this, that's pretty much it. Now you could go ahead and print ID, and I will just say this should be equal to ID, so that when we make a call, you can actually see all this. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you could 2, 3, 4, and 5. I could just put this down here and also over here. So now when I go ahead and make a call to this function, you will be able to see all this data being printed in the terminal. I hope that makes sense. For now, I'm going to comment it out, but don't delete it because we still need it. Now, after we've done all this, we need to go ahead and redirect a user back to this page with the updated information that they have selected. Now, this is the logic. Hopefully, you already know that this is the room detail, the room type detail page, where we actually see all the available rooms for a particular room type. So when a user wants to check for a new room, let's say now they are in the king room and they want to check the availability of rooms in the luxury room. And when they hit check availability, we still want to return them back to this page, but with the new set of data that's the selected over here. In that case, what we want to do is this. Follow along. I will say URL should be equal to reverse. Now I need to go ahead and import reverse at the top from Django.url. I want to import reverse. Okay, just like that. And over here, I will say reverse. And we are pretty much reversing because we want to get back to this page. And not only that, we want to get back to this page, we want to be able to add like IDs and slugs and things like that. So when you're reversing, call the name of the app, just like you would do in a template, then call the name of the URL. So what's the name of the URL in the hotel URLs? This is it, right? Yep. And also you want to go ahead and call the IDs, the parameters that it will be needing. Remember, it expects slug and room type slug. So that means over here, you want to say the arguments that will be passed in this reverse should be what? Firstly, hotel.slug, which is pretty much the hotel that we grabbed over here. And the next one is going to be what? Just give a comma and give a space and say room type.slug. And like that, we are done. Now you want to say URL with parameters should be equal to an F formatted string. Now this is the logic again. Because when a user actually selects the type of room that they want, again, we need a way to communicate the newly selected informations back to this page. Now there are a couple of ways that you could use that. One of the ways is pretty much appending the data in the URL over here and grabbing it whenever a user lands on this page. Another way is by saving the data in the sessions. Another way is in the cookies. But I'm actually striving to make us, carry out this operation in the most efficient and easy way in order not to confuse anyone. So what we're going to do is pretty much append the data type to the URL over here. And whenever we land on the room type detail page, we will show up these informations here based on whatever data that was passed in the URL parameter here. If that doesn't make sense, let's keep going. You'll better understand what's going on. So we want to reverse back to this URL, right? So that means I will say reverse back to URL. And just so you know, I'm using the F formatted string so that I can be able to call variables by just passing in double curly brackets, not double curly brackets, but just curly brackets or braces. Another option is just to use strings like this and do concatenation. For example, I'll say URL plus, then I'll pass in whatever I want in here. But that is quite outdated. Instead, use formatted strings. So I'm coming over to URL and I want to append some query parameter in the URL. Remember that the first one over here was hotel ID. That is what we call this, right? So please make sure that it's the same name. Hotel ID should be equal to, and what do you want to pass in? This ID here. Okay, and equal, okay, what's the next one? Check-in should be equal to, and what do you want to pass in there? Check-in. And check out, please make sure that it's the same text that you have over here. Should be equal to what? Check out. And adults should be equal to what? Adults. And children should be equal to what? Children. And finally, room type should be equal to what? Room type. So the keys over here will pretty much be these keys that we will be grabbing here. Okay, and after you've passed in all this information, that's pretty much it. You just need to go ahead and say return. Then we need to import something. So let's hop over to the top again, and we want to import from Django.http import http response. I think that should be http response. Yep, there you go. Redirect. So that means over here I will say return http response redirect URL with params. So after you've done all this, uncomment this code again, and guys, that's pretty much everything that we want to do for checking room availability. The next one will be to go ahead and now wire this into this page over here. But before we wire in this function that we created into this page, there are some things that we need to put into consideration and actually work with whenever we land on the room type detail page. So after we are done with all this, let's create a new urls.py file for the booking. And let's import from Django.urls, import path, and also from booking, import views, and also the app name is obviously called booking. Okay, but let me use booking just like that. And now the URL patterns will be, the very first one that we need is going to be called check availability. So that is views dot check room availability. So I'm going to put that same thing over here and still use the same as the name. I hope that makes sense. So after we've done this, that's pretty much what we want to do. Now, instead of, let me get back to the hotel detail page. Instead of clicking on view more, what I pretty much want to do is get rid of this and allow a user to actually select their booking details here and click on check availability for us to be able to actually show them the room type and all that kind of information. I don't know if that makes sense. So instead of clicking on this, I'm recapping. Instead of clicking on view more, let's allow a user select their check-in dates, checkout dates, adults count, children count, and all that information, type of room, then click on check availability button. Then we'll be able to now query the room types based on the information that is selected over here. To do that, I will start off by opening up the templates, hotel, room type detail, and I need this piece of code here. I need this piece of code, this form, which is pretty much this one here. Okay, seems my server isn't running. I will run my server again. Python manage.py. Let me see. Did I mistakenly create another booking app? No, I did not do that. So I will say Python manage.py run server. And after our server is running, now you can see this is what we want. Now this is what I want to copy over here. Just these. So what I will do is I will pretty much grab this, and in the hotel detail HTML, I want to replace the code that I copied with this one here. So let's look for that code here in the hotel detail page. This is it here, booking, right? This is it. Select date. I think it started from here. Collapse this, also collapse this and this. So now if we get rid of this over here and reload this page, see now we don't have that any longer. I don't also think that I need the purchase tickets button, but before that, let me open up the room type detail again and grab this form and pretty much put it down here. Okay, so after it's down there, that's pretty much everything that I need. So now that we've done all this, let me reload this page and see what we have. So now remove the purchase tickets. Okay, I don't need that. Just leave the add to wish list. I think I will need that one. Okay, so now this is what we have. Booking $120 per person. That doesn't make any sense. So let's just go ahead and get rid of it. Based on our system, that doesn't make sense. Okay, so check room availability. You can call that whatever you want. Okay, just get creative with it. Now let's start in with passing in the informations that we will be needing. Okay, so remember that the URL that will firstly make a call to in the action is called check availability, which is the name of the app is booking. Actually here, and the name of the URL is check room availability here, and it needs a couple. Okay, actually it does not need any parameter. So if you look at this here, see, no parameter, only requests. So you don't need to pass in anything in here. Now when you submit this form, or it says booking is not a registered namespace, that is because you need to register this in the main URLs down here. Just say booking slash, and you want to say booking the URLs. Now this should get it registered. So now that you've done this, that's pretty much everything that you want to do. Now if you submit this form, it's going to make a call back to the check availability view, this one over here. Let's try submitting this form without even putting in anything. Okay, in the hotel detail, let me get rid of a couple of things for now. Then we can start working with this. You can see that we have required here, which will not allow us to submit the form if we haven't selected something. So, okay, yeah, it's not going to work. It's going to say forbidden. That is because we want to pass in the CSRF token in the form over here, since we're making a post request. Okay, so that's a normal Django thing. And after that, let's try again. Now it says field ID expected a number but got nothing. All right, that's cool. So now that we've done this, everything seems to be working well as we expect, but we got an error pretty much because we did not pass in anything in the URL parameter here. So let's start adding some informations. Firstly, remember that what we need in the view is hotel ID. So we need a way to pass in this hotel ID into a name attribute. Now for that, what we need to do is over here, I have an input of hidden. I will pretty much in the name pass in hotel ID here, you see. And now if I get back here and reload this page, see, I have this input, but it seems not to actually contain the hotel ID. So what's going on? Okay, the value should be hotel.id. Okay, there you go. Now see, this now contains the hotel ID value. Okay, so I can actually put down comments hotel ID so that you understand what's going on. And after we've passed in the hotel ID, what is the next thing that we need in the view? We need the check-in date. So that means over here where we have date speaker for check-in dates, you want to pass in value. Okay, firstly, the type is going to be date, which pretty much allows us to select dates like this, right? I hope when you get the template, you'll be able to get this. And the ID is date speaker, which is not necessarily actually needed. You can get rid of that. We don't need it for anything. And the value over here says check-in. So we need a way to actually pass in a value for the hotel detail page. So what do we actually need to do? I think for this one, we can leave the value blank and just pass in the name of check-in. Yeah. That pretty much means that whenever we submit this, we will now be able to get the check-in ID. Let's try this out. But not to get any error, I will comment out these and I'll also comment out these, which means I should comment out these two. Okay. And now let's try this out and see if it prints the check-in date in the terminal. It says name hotel isn't defined, which means over here, let's comment that out. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna say ID should be 1 and I don't want to get any error with this. Okay, you know what? Let me just comment out. I'm gonna take hotel isn't defined. So if we're commenting this out now, definitely we will get an issue. But for now, let's just do that, okay? I will comment these two out. I will comment these two out. And I will also comment these 3 out, right? We will get those back later. So now I reloaded this page. What I want to just get is this. See, now I'm getting the ID of the hotel, which is number 2. For the check-in, I seem not to be getting anything. So that is pretty much what I'm looking for. So over here, let's select a date for the check-in. Let me say 9th January 2024. And hotel ID is to right. And I hit check availability. Don't mind the error. What we just focused on now is what we're getting in the terminal. Now, guys, you see, we're getting 2024, 1st January. Actually, January 9th. I hope that makes sense. So by the time we get all this data over here, then we will be able to now make a call back to whatever URL params we have here. So the next thing on our list is to get a checkout, right? So over here, name checkout. Okay. Type should still be date. I'm going to show you guys how to actually prevent getting previous dates in here. Let me show you what I mean. So a user actually wants to check in all the dates from 6th and backwards should automatically become null, which means they should not be able to select dates from here. I will show you guys how to do that later. Okay. So we passed in checkout, which means if we select a date for this and also select the date for this, and we hit check availability, then we should now be able to see that we will now get the checkout dates here. See? And it's also getting adults and children. But we want to be able to allow users type in their own values for adults and children. So how do we actually do that? Okay, so I was missing a couple of CSS and JavaScript files. I've just added those in now. I believe you should be able to get this when you get a source code. Okay, so now we could be able to increase the number of children and adults. Let's say for 2 adults and 3 children, and we select a check-in date and also a checkout date, and we check availability. Okay, we got this CSRF forbidden error. Let's still take a close look at our terminal. Did we get anything? Nope, we did not get anything over here. So what I will do is just break out from my server and rerun it again. Okay, and over here I will give this a hard refresh, and now let's select a check-in date, a checkout date, 2 adults, 3 children, and check. Okay, we keep getting forbidden CSRF verification aborted. So what could be going wrong here? One thing that we can actually do is go ahead and add I believe we could add CSRF exempt on the check room availability. Let's see. CSRF exempt Django. Okay, I believe that should fix the error for us. Okay, this is what I'm looking for here, and I just need to import it over here at the top of my code from Django views decorator CSRF, import CSRF exempt, and let's just pass it at this view over there. Okay, and let our code rerun again. Now I can close this off, and let's try this one more time. Okay, still seem to be getting the same issue. CSRF verification failed, request aborted. It's missing the CSRF token. Let me get back to the home page here. This was working some seconds ago. Then I get back to any of these hotels, let's say the premium hotel, and select one of this. So this is showing up 23. Okay, there you go. See, that's working now. So over here in our terminal, you can see that we have adults, 19 adults and 1 children, which really doesn't make sense. Let's say that we actually want to go with 2 adults and 3 kids. And now you can see that over here we have 2 adults, 3 kids. Check-in and checkout dates did not show up anything. Let's select check-in, checkout. And now see, we have the ID, the check-in, the checkouts, the adults. Now the last one is going to be the room type. Okay, so for the room type, all we just need to do is go ahead and over here, we now need to, I believe what we need to do there is go ahead and put out a for loop here, just like we did for these. Let me get back to the product detail. So remember, we ran a for loop over here to show up this, right? So that's the same thing that we want to do. Select pass, this same thing over here, but this time around we won't do it over here, but for the select tag. So what we want to do is look for the check availability button. Okay, and this is the select tag over here. Get rid of one of this, and for this one over here, I will say for R in hotel room types, and over here let's reload this. Now you should be able to see only one. See, only one. And let's say that this is Benny. Now you can see Benny, right? But if we now say r.type, and for this one, for the value, it should be r.slug, and we reload this. Now you can see King, right? So let's try this out now. I will select a check-in date, a checkout date. Why does it keep showing 23 adults? That doesn't really make any sense. That is because I have it over here, right? So there you go, 2 adults, 3 children. You know what? Let's even make this 1, 1. Okay. See, 1 adult, 1 children. So I select this or instead 1 adult, 1 child. I said children. So we select 2 adults and 3 children, or let's say 1 child. Okay, and select the room type king, and we check availability. And now let's see what we have showing up in our terminal. Okay, just down here, see ID, this room type still shows up none. Okay, I know why that's happening. That is because in the check availability room, this says request.post.get room type. So that means in the select tag over here, we need to put in the name of room_type. Okay, so when you put in the name room_type, that is only when it should now work. But let's use room-type, which means over here we now need to say room-type instead of room_type. I hope you get the gist now. So when we try this out again, and let's see what we have here. I guess we need to reload this page and just try it out again. So we put this in, we choose that too, and we select king, and we check availability. So let's see what we have down here. So in our terminal, as you can see, we now have all the informations coming in: the ID, the check-in, the checkout, the adults, the children, and the room type. So that's pretty much it. Everything seems to be working well now as expected. We can now go ahead and comment out this code, and also we comment out these 2 code over here and watch our server reload. And after it's done reloading, let's now go ahead and make a final call to that view and see if we get any bug or not. So we select this and we check availability. Now it says room type matching query doesn't exist. So what's the problem? Room type matching query does not exist. I think over here we said r.slog, right? Okay, we need to explicitly see what the room type is. So that means I need to log it over here, right? So log that, and let me reload that page again. See, room type shows king over here. So that means, oh, that's the problem. Hotel shows 1, but instead of passing in 1 like that, please pass in the ID like this. Okay, so it's actually got the slug right, but it's not getting the hotel right because we are hard coding 1 in there. So when you've done this now, let's get back and let's try sending this data again. Now this time around, see, it appends this data in here in the URL. Despite the fact I still need to make some changes, but you can now see that it successfully returned everything without an error. So now it returns the room type, it returns the hotel, it returns it as king, and everything is working perfectly well, guys. That's pretty much everything that we want to do for now. Now, in the next video, what we will just do is go ahead and pretty much filter this room. Or you know what? Let me just do this now, and I think we should be done. So I will open up my admin page, admin room type, and I want to add a new room type for the premium hotel. Let's just say I want to add luxury, and let's say the price for this is $30. It has 2 beds in let's just say 1 bed in there, and its capacity is 2, and also its slug should be luxury. And let's add a couple of rooms for this. Add room for Pekalin for the luxury, room number 1. Save and add another premium luxury, room number 2, and we save this. So guys, let's give this just one more shot here. So I get rid of everything that we have in the URL. This is obviously the king room. In fact, if you get back to the detail page here, you can now see that we should have 2 types of rooms here. You see, we have the luxury and we have the king. So now, if we are viewing the king, as you can see, we've got 3 rooms, right? Over here now, we can choose the check-in date, choose the checkout date, choose the guest and how many children, choose luxury and his check availability. All right, we seem to be having one more issue here. So what's going on? I believe I have reloaded this page as expected. Oh yeah, that's the problem. I was actually checking for that in the room select detail page, which really doesn't make any sense. But let's do that in the detail page, okay? I was doing that in the room type detail page instead of the hotel detail page. I hope that makes sense. So now we select a check-in date, select the checkout date, select some time, and let's say we want to check for the luxury. When we check now, see, we got 2 rooms here. That is pretty cool. How about we want to check this time around for the king room? We check. Okay, it still returned the luxury room. Let me just make sure that I selected. This is luxury. This is king, right? Or let me just give this a refresh. Select 10, 13, and select king, and we search. Now there you go. See, we return the king room, and if it's for luxury, we return the luxury room. I hope that makes sense. In the next video, we should start working with doing the exact same thing over here. Okay, and what we'll pretty much do is grab the informations that we have over here at the top, and we will just use it to populate the code or populate these informations down here. So all the user have to do is just update their existing information and just hit check availability, and we should check the availability of the hotel. But so far, this is what we have. Users can now check the availability of a room by selecting their check-in, checkout date, how many adults and children will be coming in, and the type of room that they want. In the next one, we're going to go ahead and start working with something new. Hopefully you enjoyed the video and learned something new. I hope to see you in the next one. And until then, mad love, peace out.